Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the phase 3 of this training. So in this phase is where I will be explaining step by step how to build and design this kind of all of the tables in this different sheet. So it's going to be a separate videos for all of these tabs. A separate video for the POS tab, for data tab, for A to C tab, up until the end of the tabs that we have on this sheet. So currently on this video, in this present video, I will be showing you step-by-step guides how to build this kind of table, including the coloring, including the design, including the conditional formatting, including the formulas. So without wasting much time, let's begin. So that we should have a sample I will always look back on. So I will be creating a new tab on this page by clicking on that plus icon. So this is the main tab we are copying. This is the new tab I created. So this is where I will be doing all of the work here. So now let's begin. So I will first of all begin with the write-ups we have. We have the date, we have serial number, transaction, amount, charge. So let's do that. The date, so after writing the headings, then the next thing I will put the serial number. So in our sample, we have serial number 1 to 40. But to make this easy, I'm going to make this serial number 1 to 15 alone. So you write 1, 2, 3. So instead of me to keep rewriting this, I'm going to use the autofill function to complete these numbers. Autofill. So I have number 1 to 15 here already. So the next thing I will be doing is to add a total. I'm going to match these cells to add our total profit. So right after POS charge, we have our profit. So now I have written all of the items we need for this table. So it's time to start adding our borders. So before adding borders, I'm going to make this to merge the cells and put it in center, then bold. So all of our headings should be in bold, bold and center. Then this one as well, the total profit, bold and center. Meanwhile, the serial number does not supposed to take much of our space, so we can reduce the spacing. And now let's start adding our borders. So I'm going to select all we have here. So after highlighting them, then I come to the border. So on the border, our border line should be in blue color. Clicking here, this is where you select the blue, then go back. The border style, the thickness of the line, at default it is used to set at this, but the style I'll be using is the thickest one. So Now the border style is, first of all, round all of this square shape. After rounding, then adding a vertical lines all. I don't need the horizontal lines. And then for my headings, let's say headers and footer, that is where I need to cross everywhere. Here as well, cross everywhere. So we have here. Now the next thing we need to add is the alternate coloring. Alternate coloring, come here, scroll down, you have format cell, click on format cell, scroll down again, you have alternate color. So this will make our work more beautiful. As you can see, you are seeing other colors in the middle of the boxes, so that's not the color we want. So I'm making use of blue, clicking on blue, but remember to click that we have footer as well, so that it can add more color to our footer. Now we have added our alternate coloring as well. So the next thing I will be adding is data validation. This type of item we have by selecting this, so that we can select either transfer or withdrawal. So let's go back. Under transaction, that is where we have those items. So now I'm going to highlight all the place we need this data validation, and by adding the data validation, you click on the three dots you have here, data validation, leave it on list of items, then add your items. First you have transfer, click on this mark to save and enter another one, withdraw, click on mark to save. So that's the only two items we have here. Now here I want to set that anything different from this, it should reject the input. Then it should show the drop down list in the cell. After setting all this, click on save. Now we have all of our drop downs here. So by the time we click here and we come click on the, we'll have the drop down to select from either transfer or withdraw. Now the next thing I will be doing is the text formatting. The text formatting, and that is by increasing the size. I will highlight all of the box again and come here. The text font is spectral and the size is 14. So, and then our items should be in center, and then that's all for the formatting, styles, size and spaces. So the next thing is adding of uh, currencies. By the time I write amount here, let's say a transaction of 1,000 naira, our charge is 100 naira, and our POS charge is, let's say, 10 naira. So we want this to bring out our profit. But before it brings out our profit, let's add currency signs for these signs. So I will highlight all the place I want my currency sign should be, and then I will click on this, scroll down and click on this sign 1, 2, 3. Then you scroll down and look for currencies. Let's select more currencies. What type of currency are you looking for? Let's make use of US dollars, for instance. We have US dollars here. Yeah. So after selecting the more currencies, then we need to get rid of this cents, this 0.00 at the back here. So I'm going to use this to reduce that. Remember to highlight everything you are working on. reduce the 0, reduce all of the 0. So we have only our figures: $1,000, $100, $10. So now we want this tab, this line here, to automatically bring out our profit by deducting the amount, by deducting our POS charge from our charge, so that we can have our original profit. So I will start from the beginning. Here you need to enter a formula, and every formula used to start with equal sign. Then the equal sign, then I will select these cells, this cell minus this cell. So selecting of this cell, which is E4, E4, minus, this is the minus sign, minus this cell, that is F4. Then I will click on mark to save my formula. Then I can see $10 minus $100, we have $90. So that is it. So instead of me to start rewriting the formulas like this, I'm going to use the autofill sign to save all the formulas here. Highlight, click on the three dots and click on autofill, and then you have the same formulas here. So by the time I click on anywhere randomly and I select, let's say, $200 and $20, then it's going to give me 180 automatically because it has been set. Then the next thing, I want to bring out our total profit. Our total profit. So I want the total profit to show here. So that will be addition of all of these cells. So addition, you can say this sign, all your formulas will start with a equal sign. So you can say this cell plus this cell plus this cell plus this cell up until here, then you have your final answer. But instead of doing that one after the other, then I'm going to use another style of doing that. So I'm going to highlight all of these figures that we have here, and automatically we'll have our sum, average, maximum, and so on here. So I need the sum, that is addition of all of these things, and I'll drag it out and paste it here. So we have 270 here. Then I'm going to set this balance to center and bold the balance. So that is our form for this table. So then another thing we'll be adding to this table is conditional formatting that will color transfer red and withdraw, that will color transfer as, okay, let's check from the sample POS. It will color transfer as red and will color withdrawal transactions as green. So let's do that. So to do that, I'm going to highlight all of these cells here so that I can do it at once and not do it one after the other again, in order to save time. So I'll click here, scroll down and look for conditional formatting, and then you start setting your rules. And then what is the rules? We want to format all of these cells from range. Format cell if, then you click here, if text is exactly what, you put the value here. If text is exactly transfer, so what should happen? Then I will come here. This is where you can select the colors, but I will click on custom because I don't have the colors I want there. I want my text should be in a red color. Red, basic colors, come to basic colors. You have, select your red, click this arrow to go back, make the text to be bold, and make this text color to be white so that it can show very well on the red color. So I've done for the transfer that will make it red. So before I go on for the green for withdrawal, then let's check before we go ahead. I'll click on done. Then I can add here, but I want us to see first. Back. So you can see this is a transfer transaction. Let me select another transfer from here. Transfer. I will have red color in white text. Transfer, red background in white text. So now let's do for withdrawal. So I'll highlight all of this range again and then come back here, look for container formatting. You already have one rule here, let's add another one. Then another one is withdrawal. Text is exactly what? Withdrawal. Withdraw. So what should happen if our text is exactly withdraw? Then I want the text to be bold, the text should be in black, and the background color should be in green. Go to basic color and select green, then done. So we have our two rules here. Click here to go back, and then you have all of your withdrawal transactions. Your withdrawal transaction will come with a background of green and a text with black. So that is all about the first table we have here. Now let's move on to the next table, which is start with and end with. So how do we do that? Let's go back. Remember, we always want to begin with our text. All of the text we have start with. Then here we have we make use of these two lines. I'm going to merge these lines as what are the items we have here. Let's check again. So on this tab, you will see we make use of two cells at the same time, so that is why I'm merging. Cash at hand, funding bank, change, added cash to hand, added funding bank. Okay, so let's come back. Cash at hand, cash at bank, funding bank, change, added cash at hand, added funds in bank, and then finally we have total. So now let's start merging these cells. Here we have start with, not ordinary start. Start with. So the start with contains the 4 lines. Match. These are heading, bold, and put in center. So I'm going to merge all of these cells one after the other. You don't merge all the cells at the same time, it will turn everything to one, so you do it one after the other. Now total. So this total is our footer, bold and center. Then the next place is where we have the amount for all of these items. So we merge them too as well. Merge, 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 and no, merge. Nice. So since we have merged them, let's start putting borders. To add borders, highlight them. Remember, blue and thickest line. We start with this 4 rounds corner, vertical lines, and then put horizontal lines in the header and footers. Header and footers. Then the next thing, let's increase the size. The size. Formatting text. Set to spectral increase the text size to 14, and then we have this. All of our text should be in middle, and then let's bold all of this so that we can have our text show very well. So this is where we have numbers. So in these numbers, I'm going to add currency to it. Currency. So now I'm going to add okay. Okay, the US dollar, and then I'm going to make the US dollar a round figure. Let's input a number. So as you can see, we're having 100.00. So let's remove that by using this option. The decimal points are gone, and now we need a total of the sum of figures we have here. Like we did before, I will highlight all. Let me add another number so that I can start adding. So by the time it adds these two numbers, I have sum. I will drag it up here, then highlight, make the text bold, and put it in center. So then the next thing is to add alternate coloring, just like we have blue in the upper ones. Format cell, alternate colors, and then you select the one we have blue. Remember to click on footer so that it will add color to our footer as well. So we are done with this. So now I want you to watch these two tables very closely. They are the same. So since I've taken my time to design this first one, next thing I'll just do is to copy this and paste it here again. So the only thing that will be changing is the first one is start with, the second one should be end with. So now we have these tables. So the next thing we have here is this one that gives us the balance, that tells us whether amount is missing, nothing is missing, or we're having a surplus. So let's do that. So first thing, we're going to match two cells together here, and this one too, two cells together here. Then the next thing is to add border. A border like this, and then the next thing, let's set the text size and text font, spectral, and then 14, then this. So after adding this, then what we have here is formulas. What we have here is formulas. You can see them here. So now start writing the formulas. So we have three items we want this table, this cell should do for us. So we want that any balance that is going to show here. So what balance is going to show here? We want to know the difference between the amount we start with and the amount we end with. So how much do we start with? So let's say equal to the amount we end with minus the amount we start with. So let's find the difference. So now it means if we start with $100 for instance, and we end up with $110, it means we're having a surplus of $10. So we want this place should tell us that we're having a surplus. So let's say I start with $100 and I am ending with 90, or yes, I'm ending with $90. Then we want this place should tell us that $10 is missing. That is why we're having a minus here. So And then if what we have here, we start with $100 and we end with $100, so we have $0 here, meaning we don't have a surplus and nothing is missing. We want this place should tell us that nothing is missing. So how do we do that? Let's start writing the formula. So I'll begin from here. Every formula starts with equal sign, and the formula I'll be using is ifs, the ifs function, IFS. Then you select this. So what are we writing? I want that if the value I have here, so I'll select this cell, if the value I have here is less than 0, let's say if the value I have here is less than 0, then I want this tab should tell me that amount is missing. Whatever you want it to write, you put them in a quotation mark. Amount missing, rather, not amount is missing. So then, that is the first criteria. Then I'll put a comma to the second condition. So if this cell is greater than 0, I want that same cell should tell me that I have surplus, comma again, and go to the next value. That if this cell is equal to 0, then I want the cell should tell us that nothing is missing. Then I close my quotation mark. Then I'll click on this mark arrow to save our formula. So we are having this error sign here. So let's find out what is the cause of this error sign. So, and value, this means we have, remember, we have two cells combined here. So, and these two cells is combination of E37 and F37. So, and we are supposed to make use of one cell in reference. So I'll click on this value to rewrite our formulas. So here you can see we have E37 and F37 once I click on the cell we have here. So I'm going to delete the F37 and leave only the E37 for everything. So F37 to make it remain E37. And then the last one here again, remove F37, then we have only E37. Then let's click and save to see what we have here. So now we can see our formula is working. So let's try it and see. I want to clear all of this. Clear. So now I start with $100 and I end with $0. How come? It means $100 is missing. Then let's say I start with $100 and I end with $200. How come? What happened? It means I have a surplus of $100. Then next is I start with $100 and I end with $100. No surplus, nothing is missing. So now another thing we want is this. We want to add colors to it to make it look more professional. So put this in bold and center. So now the colors we want to be adding is If nothing is missing, we want it to be in blue color. If amount is missing, it should be in red color. And if we are having a surplus, then it should indicate a green color. So how do we do that? We make use of conditional formatting here. So this same cell is what we are formatting. Come here and let's go straight to conditional formatting. I'm going to this week. So the conditional formatting, what do we do? If this cell is exactly, nothing is missing. Remember, exactly, don't put space at the end if you don't have space at the end of your formula. So nothing is missing. So what should it give us? Let's add our colors. The text should be in bold. The text color should be black, and the fill color should be in this blue color. I'll click on done. So that is one. I'll add another rule for surplus. If text is exactly surplus, so we want the text should be in a green color, the text color should be black, and it should be in bold. Then I'm adding another rule. If the text is exactly amount missing, what should happen? The fill color should be red. The text color should be white so that white will display very well on red. And then the text should be in bold. Then I'll click on done. So let's find out whether what we have done is working. So nothing is missing, is in blue color already. Let me add something here to have a surplus. $10. Surplus is in green, and let me add 20 here to have something is missing. Amount missing is in red. Our formulas are working. Now the next thing is we want these numbers as well to always change color as this is changing color. So if we are having 0 here, we should have blue color. If we're having any number that has minus, we should be in red. Then if you have anything that is more than 0, we should have green, which is our surplus. So let's do that. I'll click on the cell, go to conditional formatting, and then now we are dealing with numbers. So we are not using text exactly again because the numbers can change. So we are using numbers. If number is greater than 0, meaning we are having surplus. Greater than 0, put your value there. So what should our color be? Bold. Text should be black. And our fill color should be in green, that is surplus. Then I'm adding another rule. Greater than. The next rule is if our text there is less than 0, it means something is missing. So the text should be red background, red fill color with a white text in it in bold color. Then I'm adding another rule for the last one, which is going to be if our text is exactly equal to 0. So what should happen? We should have a black text in bold color, and fill color should be in this blue color. And then let's click on done to save our changes. So now as you can see, Amount is missing, red. Let's add 10 here to see what we have. Nothing is missing, blue. And let's add another 10. Let's add another 10 to have a surplus. Surplus, green. So our formulas are working perfectly and we are having exactly what we are building. So let's move on to the last page, the last tables. So what tables do we have here? This is the table that are calculating the change we start with and the change we end with. So just like we did this, we are going to take our time to design this and then we copy and paste this. So what do we have? Change starts with amount, quantity, and the amount. Okay, let's go. So imagine this cell as change start with. Here we have, is it amount? Yeah, amount. Here we have amount. Here we have quantity. And here we have total. Is it total? Yes, total. So then, the next things we have our denominations. Remember I said in this business we regard 200 naira downward as change. 200, 100, 50, 20, 10 and 5. So now the next thing again we have total. So this total is merged, center, bold. All of these are heading, bold, center. So now let's add our borders. Remember our borders in blue and the thickest line, the square first, and then the vertical lines. Then we start adding our header and footer as a full box. That is the header and this is the footer. So the next thing is the formatting of text. The font spectral, size is 14 and centralize everything. Okay, so the next thing we need is alternate coloring. Format cell, scroll down, alternate colors, and then you choose blue from the list. So we have our colors. The next thing is to add denominations, to add currency. So what currency should we add? Let me show you another way of adding currency. How many items do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can come here and highlight randomly 6 cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Copy. Then I'm going to come here and highlight this, click on it and paste special. I want to paste the format only. So we have our dollar signs here. So now the quantity and the total. So we need something to automatically calculate itself here. And what are we calculating? We want that if we have, let's say, 3 pieces of 200, 2 pieces of 100, 5 pieces of 50. So we want it to automatically calculate itself here. And how do we do that? So we start with an equal sign. We multiply this $200 by 300 by 3. $200 multiplied by 3 and then equal 600. Okay, so instead of me to rewrite all, I'm going to highlight all and autofill the formulas. So this is it here. Then another thing is to add our dollar sign here. Remember, I have copied previously. I can still paste without copying again. Paste special and paste the format. So we have our dollar signs here. So having done with this, the next thing is to have our total. As usual, I will highlight everything and then drag the sum we have here. Make it in center and bold the text. So this is our change start with. So I can use this, copy, if I'm done with this, copy and then paste so that we can have our change end with. So guys, we are done with this sheet. This is exactly the functions we have on the sheet I have shown you as a sample. We have created a copy for ourselves already. So now remember, we have 7 of these on this page, which we are going to use for different days, 7 days a week. So to have a clear copy of this, I'm going to clear all the content we have here. Clear, clear all of this as well. Clear. Then one more thing before we start duplicating is this. For the cash at hand, is going to be entered. Any amount we start with at hand, we enter it here manually. Any amount we start with in bank, we enter it manually. But this change, add cash at hand, added fund in bank, will also be entered manually. But this change, since this is what is calculating our change for us, we are not you are not adding that one manually, you are adding it automatically. So we want that whatever balance we have here as our change should automatically show here as the amount we start with and the amount we end with. So how do we do that? Let me show you. So to do that, change, we want our change, the value that is going to be in change should be equal to the change we start with. The save, I can see we have the amount that is displaying here automatically. Then the next thing again, for end with, this is start with and this is end with. So I'm going to change this equal to the total we have at our end with. Save, and then we have our figure here. So now let's change this. Let me add more figures here. For end with, I'm going to add 50. So the total we have for change end with is 2,230, and that is exactly what we are going to have here. So if I change something here as well, the total we have for change end with is 2,650. Then that is what we're having here, start with 2,650. So that is how this works. So I'm going to clear this because we want to make more copies of this table for the remaining days of the week. Clear. So let's say our day is starting from Monday, let's say, and the Monday date is this. Monday, 1st December. 1st December 2025. I want to clear all of these as well. Clear. I'm clearing this as well. Clear. So I have a clear table. So let's highlight everything. Highlight everything and copy. So I have copied it. So I'm going to leave one line interval. So I'll select here, paste. So all of the formulas, all of the function, conditional formatting, everything is going to paste. The same way this is working, that is how this one too will work. So that is for Monday, Tuesday. Let's paste for Wednesday, Thursday, and then for the last day, we have how many now? 1, 2, 3. So remain 2, paste. That will be for Thursday, and this will be for Friday. And now we can start changing our days here accordingly. So we have, you change accordingly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday up until the end of the weekdays you are working. So then the last thing we'll be doing is this. If you notice, by the time we scroll down, the date and the serial number transactions here are not disappeared. So that is what we'll do here. Now, by the time we scroll, you can see those ones are disappearing. Now we will be using the freeze function. And how do we do that? We want to freeze from row 1 up until row 3, so that by the time we scroll, we don't want them to disappear. So after highlighting row 1 to row 3, you click on it. Click on the 3 dots you have here and look for freeze. And now we have freeze from row 1 to 3. And by the time we scroll, they will still be there. They are free there, they can move. So that is how to build this table we are using for our POS tab. So if you're having any question regarding all of this, don't hesitate to make use of the comment section of this video to ask your questions. I'll be glad to answer you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we'll be talking about how to build this data tab. See you next time.